Well, it looks like they're both very, very good. Of course, Final Fantasy 15 is already out in the US, Europe, Japan, everywhere worldwide, while Persona 5 is only released in Japan and will release on April 4th on the PlayStation 4 in Europe and the US. So there are some import reviews, some people that understand Japanese already played the game, reviewed it in English, so we can have a look at those scores, and then let's also have a look at some general Final Fantasy 15 reviews and also compare them. For example, some people have a Final Fantasy review and a Persona review up as well. Of course, both games are pretty different. In Final Fantasy, it's you have a huge open world. Persona also has these social links, of course, where you're at a high school and you have a life besides the RPG. That is, of course, also where you go into dungeons and stuff like that. While Final Fantasy is like fully focused on that RPG, that fantasy style. So let's look at the biggest Japanese magazine here, Famitsu, reviews all these games with 4 people. So 4 people play these games, give a score from 1 to 10, then they combine it, and then you get a 39 out of 40 for Persona 5. This is really good. But if we look at Final Fantasy 15 here, Daniel Ahmed here writes that he knows what Famitsu gave Final Fantasy 15. It's a 40 out of 40. So it's like, okay, they're both fantastic, but they like Final Fantasy 15 more. And what's worth noting is that 2 things. One is that this is like probably the same reviewers reviewed Final Fantasy 15 and Persona 5. So one person likes Persona 5 less than Final Fantasy 15. On the other hand, Famitsu is like he says, the last time Famitsu review scores mattered, Final Fantasy 15 hadn't been announced. So there is some controversial stuff going on with Famitsu, but it's of course always interesting to see what they give, especially if they review it with 4 people. Let's look at some other reviews from both games. So over here on the third PlayStation WordPress.com, I will put a link down to all these reviews so you can read them if you want in the description, so be sure to check it out. Anyway, this guy gives Persona 5 a 9.5, one of the best darkest JRPGs, a title that must be owned. Overall, Persona 5 is an extensive adventure with plenty of activities, story and gameplay. That is interesting. If we look at his Final Fantasy 15 review, he gives the game a 9. So same person, same blog. Like I said, link down in the description below. Overall, Final Fantasy 15 is one of the best games that I've ever played this year. It has a good story, great graphics and fun gameplay. It feels like an actual Final Fantasy game, not a separate franchise. It stands gracefully above other RPGs and should be a day one purchase. So, like I said at the beginning of this video, both games are great. But right now, we see Persona 5, a 9.59, but as the last score in Famitsu. And we go to another website, and this is a Dutch website, and you will not be able to read this. I'm from the Netherlands. They also imported Persona 5. They also know Japanese, so that's awesome. They gave the game a 9, and then we go to their Final Fantasy review. They gave the game a 9 as well. Interesting is that both games don't really, it looks like it from the reviews, don't really have a good story. For example, with Final Fantasy, it jumps all around. You probably know that if you already played the game. In Persona 5, it could be better as well. Of course, you have the anime sort of cutscenes that will tell the story as well. But some very important moments, according to this gamer.nl review, are not very well done. So yeah, that's one of the points. The puzzles are not that good, but the gameplay should be way deeper than Final Fantasy 15, where with Final Fantasy 15 they of course chose for the more real-time approach. In Persona it's still turn-based, and it should be deeper because of that as well. And that's of course super interesting. And both games are really about characters, where with Persona 5 you will have your cast of characters, and they are both lovely. So Final Fantasy 15, of course, you have your friends with you all the time. They are awesome. In Persona 5 this is the same. So kind of the result of this, looking at some other Japanese reviews here, is that also Persona 5 is an amazing game, and Final Fantasy 15 as well. And you probably already know how you like Final Fantasy 15, and I think you should just buy both. Let's just be honest. I mean, by the time Persona 5 hits in the US and Europe, it will be 5 months since Final Fantasy came out. So enough time for you to fully explore Final Fantasy and get ready for a new JRPG if you're into that. I really like Persona, really loved playing Persona 4 Golden on my PS Vita. Can't wait for the new one. Loved Catherine as well, and of course these guys made Catherine as well. So yeah, they know what they're doing. They're really a fantastic developer in my opinion. So can't wait to try this. I still have like I still need to buy Final Fantasy 15, looking forward to that, but got a lot of other games on my plate right now, so want to work through The Lost Guardian, want to work through, I have Pokemon still laying around, so want to get to those before I go to Final Fantasy 15. This is my take. Personally, Persona 5, I think that's more my game, but that's just my personal preference. I really like the high school element, like dating girls and stuff like that in this game. And in Final Fantasy 15, yeah, it's of course a little more realistic, more broader. It's like, yeah, it's not really that high school story that I like, and I really like the Catherine story as well. So I think that I will like the Persona 5 more because the story is probably more interesting, while Final Fantasy 15 will probably have awesomer boss battles and stuff like that. Anyway, that's my take. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Maybe you played both of them already, or do you look forward to Persona 5? Have you played Final Fantasy 15? Let me know. Thanks a lot for watching. I will speak to you next time. Goodbye.